The top story this hour: Ethiopia's relief and rehabilitation efforts reach about 4.2 million people in the state of Tigray. And the World Health Organization says there is no need to panic over AstraZeneca vaccine. A very warm welcome to this news hour. I'm Solomon Danye. Thanks for joining me. Food and non-food items have successfully been distributed for more than 4.2 million people in the state of Tigray. Foreign Affairs Ministry spokesperson Ambassador Dina Mufti made the remark in his bi-weekly press briefing yesterday. It is to be recalled that ambassadors from different countries paid a visit to Mekelle and discuss pressing issues with interim administration. Kasan Jani reports.
Foreign Affairs Ministry spokesperson and Public Diplomacy Director General Ambassador Dina Mufti gave the ministry's weekly press briefing to the media, focusing on political, economic and citizen-centered diplomacy, including capacity-building activities. According to the spokesperson, ambassadors from various countries have carried out diplomatic missions to the concerned countries, adding rehabilitation work is underway in Tigray state, with 4.2 million people receiving food and nutrition assistance. He has also stated that a survey is underway to identify citizens who need support in the next chapter.
Ethiopian ambassadors to be dispatched to about 9 countries. I named them earlier on. I think they are going to be dispatched to Australia, Ghana, Italy, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, South Sudan, and Senegal. Have been briefed on their missions by the deputy prime ministers, and they were given directions on what they should do with regard to strengthening bilateral relations between Ethiopia and the countries of their destinations, strengthening people-to-people's relationship, promoting Ethiopian interests abroad. With situation in Tigray, about nearly 4.2 million citizens were reached out to through relief, and the rehabilitation process is underway. Relief supply is also going on strongly.
Ambassador Dina stated that the government is working hard to provide humanitarian assistance and rehabilitation work. The scoring has open access to ambassadors representing 40 countries who meet in Mekelle to discuss with the interim administration.
We have taken ambassadors of more than 40 countries to Tigray this week, where they have been able to see for themselves the efforts being made by the interim government and the federal government so as to rehabilitate the region. They were briefed by the interim administration about the rehabilitation process and the security situation prevailing in Tigray.
According to the ambassador, Ethiopia is still interested in holding talks with Sudan on issues related to bilateral relations, highlighting the construction of the Renaissance Dam will be completed on time. Concerning economic diplomacy, Ethiopia's consul in Shanghai and International Tourism Group in China have organized an online panel aiming to increase the flow of Chinese tourists to Ethiopia.
The tourism activities that have been undertaken by our embassy in Shanghai, the interactions between the Ethiopian finance minister and the Australian company named Lotus Company, so as to cooperate in the areas of energy.
Through civic diplomacy, Ambassador Dina pinpointed that more than 880 citizens have returned from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia this week.
We have repatriated 888 nationals of ours from Saudi Arabia. Those also who are stranded in Yemen, close to 150 of them are going to be repatriated today. At noon, hopefully, they will be arriving back home. Otherwise, we're pretty sad about the incident that has happened to our nationals abroad.
Ethiopian ambassador to India, Tizita Mulugeta, says her country is desirous to uplift its relationship with India to a strategic level. reiterating that Ethiopia and India have had a very long history of relationship. The ambassador said the two nations have been enjoying cordial relationship in the social, political, economic and other spheres. In an exclusive interview with DD India TV show, the ambassador also said Ethiopia values India's commitment to voicing interests of developing nations. The ambassador has also taken the occasion to commend India for the position it took at the UN Security Council meeting on Ethiopia.
We always believe that India and Africa in general have many commonalities, many common issues, especially issues regarding UN reform. And almost all African countries believe that India need to get permanent membership in the UN. And we know that India has been playing a very big role in the national movement, liberation movement of many African countries. So Ethiopia also take that into consideration. And we always believe that as India is also one of the developing countries, despite its immense economic development, India shares a lot of commonalities with many African countries and specifically Ethiopia. And we always believe that we share the same stance and more or less the same position and support each other whenever such kind of multilateral issues arise, whenever there are issues that need a decision of a specific country. And still we hope that we would get a very good support from the Indian side whenever issues are raised in the UN Security Council.
Ambassador Tizita reacted to a question related to the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, stressing its significant role to create regional integration among the upstream and downstream countries.
And Ethiopia believes that this dam, when it is finalized, it would serve for the cooperation between the neighboring countries and Horn of Africa. Because this dam, even if we are building it for the lives and livelihood of for more than 110 million Ethiopians, we believe that it is a must that we need to construct this dam. But despite that, this dam would have an effect in controlling flood for neighboring Sudan. It would have an effect in controlling all sedimentation and so many different importance for lower riparian countries. And whenever Ethiopia construct, from the very beginning, it never did it all alone. It consults those who concerned, including the lower riparian countries. Even if more than 80% of the Nile River originated from Ethiopia, Ethiopia has never done it all alone. Rather, it used to consult in every steps. So we believe that if there is any kind of contention or if there is any kind of disagreement, we are always in a position to discuss that in a tripartite platform.
The Ministry of Health calls upon the general public to take the vaccination of AstraZeneca to control the spread of COVID-19 pandemic across the country. The Minister Elias stressed that international institutions have put recommendation that there is no clear connection between blood clotting and AstraZeneca. Abtamar Shagre reports.
Briefing journalists Tuesday, Minister of Health Leah Tadesse urges the general public to accept and continue the vaccination of AstraZeneca based on the recommendation of international institutions. According to the minister, the international institutions put recommendations about AstraZeneca showing the vaccine has no negative health impact.
Currently, Ethiopians are taking AstraZeneca vaccination. Some countries are suspending this vaccine due to suspicion of blood clotting complication. But based on the recent data that we had, the World Health Organization, the EU and the UK Medicines and Healthcare Product Regulatory Agency have been recommending AstraZeneca as having no health complication. Recently, over 11 million people in Europe have taken this vaccination. Ethiopian Food and Drug Control Authority is also taking proper assessment to identify the side impact of this vaccination.
Leah added the Ethiopian Food and Drug Control Authority is undertaking serious assessments to identify if there are negative impacts of AstraZeneca.
Over the past 10 days, over 2,000 Ethiopians have contracted and 149 killed by the COVID-19 pandemic. The ICU patients have also hit over 415. In our recent press briefing report, the number of deaths grew to over the past 10 days, over 2,000 Ethiopians have contracted and 149 killed by the COVID-19 pandemic. The ICU patients have also hit over 450. In our recent press briefing report, the number of deaths due to the pandemic has increased to 149 from the previous 123 over the past 10 days. All our ICU rooms are busy with affecting our supply of rooms and ventilators. Despite our repeated message of precautionary measures, the response from the general public is worrying.
In the meantime, Leah has urged the general public to implement all the precautionary measures approved by the World Health Organization and Ministry of Health so as to contain the spread of COVID-19. Recently, the number of deaths and ICU patients due to COVID-19 pandemic has been increasing from time to time, she stressed.
Meanwhile, the World Health Organization has continued backing up the use of AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine despite a number of countries suspending its use. The organization says there has so far been no evidence of increased rate of blood clot despite millions of doses given, and the benefit outweigh the alleged risk. However, WHO chief says it was routine practice for such reports and allegations to be investigated.
Since our last press conference on Friday, several more countries have suspended the use of AstraZeneca vaccines as a precautionary measure after reports of blood clots in people who had received the vaccine from 2 batches produced in Europe. This does not necessarily mean these events are linked to vaccination, but it's routine practice to investigate them. And it shows that the surveillance system works and that effective controls are in place.
International rating agencies have downgraded Ethiopia's long-term foreign and local currency sovereign credit ratings. Both S&P and Fitch ratings agencies say the country's debt burden has been worsened by the pandemic. Economists, however, say ratings of creditors should not be a cause for worry. With more on this story from CGTN. According to ratings agency S&P, Ethiopia's public debt stands at about $5.5 billion for the period between 2021 to 2024. Some economists say a downgrade of international credit worthiness by the agencies should not be a cause for worry.
If your private credits outstanding are relatively small compared to your bilateral, I mean, that's the case with Ethiopia. It's mostly bilaterals. It's mostly with DFIs. It's very little, relatively speaking, compared to the outstanding amount what Ethiopia owes to private credits. As I said, there's only one Eurobond for $1 billion. In fact, from what I've seen, the latest number I've seen, this year, the interest payment is only $66 million, okay? So if that's the profile you're in, and you are not looking to issue in the near future Eurobonds or tap into the global private credit market, don't worry about the short-term hit to your credit rating.
Fitch ratings highlights dates from Ethiopian state-owned enterprises to private creditors. 2 of them, the national carrier Ethiopian Airlines and telecom company Ethio Telecom, reportedly have an outstanding debt of about $3.3 billion. The Ethiopian government says that the core of its economic reforms is to see that all state-owned enterprises meet payments.
from the balance sheet of the Commercial Bank of Ethiopia, it's not erased. So there will be some restructuring of the remaining debt, which state-owned enterprise has to continue honoring, but it will not come to the budget as well. We will finance it through non-budgetary means. The main source of which we are expecting soon is from privatization proceeds, as well as is also dividend from state-owned enterprise as well.
Ethiopia has applied for debt relief under the G20 program for poor countries. In its defense, Ethiopia says it needs to redirect its resources towards the immunization of its population against COVID-19. The country of over 100 million people will receive about 8 million doses under the COVAX facility supported by the WHO. However, it will need to purchase more vaccines in order to meet the needs of more of its citizens. Other African countries like Chad are seeking relief too. Medina Nagatu says African countries should focus more on growth than debt.
So I would tell African governments, don't be overly concerned. In fact, take advantage of this unique opportunity that you've been given to reprofile your debt, to restructure, and hopefully to cancel a certain amount of your debt. A year or two, you look pretty to these investors, because now they know you've offloaded a lot of your debt. You're in a position to repay them, even with the 7, 8, or 10% yield that they're looking for. So don't be too concerned. Proceed what's in your best interest.
Sierra Leone kicked off its COVID-19 vaccination campaign on Monday with President Julius Maada Bio receiving an injection of one of the 200,000 doses of Sinopharm vaccines donated by China. The launch took place at the State House in the capital, Freetown, with a ceremony during which other government officials, parliamentarians, and senior public servants were also vaccinated. The West African country has also received 96,000 doses of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccines via the WTO's COVAX facility, as reported by Africa News. The head of state has addressed the nation. Take a listen.
At this stage, it's a milestone that's been trying to fight off COVID using measures, but now we have the vaccine. I think I can safely say that we have fought a very good fight.
And finally, a Ugandan fashion designer is making transparent masks to enable the deaf to communicate effectively during the COVID-19 pandemic. The masks are made from recycled plastics. CGTN has produced the following video. Take a look.
When we could communicate to them, we could remove the mask, and even them, they could remove the masks. And we were in so fear of being affected by the virus. So we found out that these people are left behind. So together with them, we sat down and thought of coming up with a mask which is favorable for them. We are looking at distributing so many in deaf schools, in communities, freely, out of the sales that we make from the masks we sell to people.
When you are putting on a mask while teaching, there is no way you can do facial communication, because for us we learn through total communication.
Before we go, a reminder of our top stories. Ethiopia's relief and rehabilitation efforts reach about 4.2 million people in the state of Tigray. And the World Health Organization says there is no need to panic over AstraZeneca vaccine. Well, that's it for the news from Solomon Dang and the rest of the English team here in the studio. Thanks for watching.